also want to speak about Dr. Butera. I've been a resident of the district for a little more than 50 years. I worked for 40 years for the New York State court system. I was a union representative employee for a long time, and I became a management guy and a management oppressor. I was for 11 years the clerk of one of New York's intermediate appellate courts. I spent 21 years serving the district as an elected official, as a member of the Board of Trustees of the Manhasset Public Library. And my home is right adjacent to the secondary schools. And I've been a member of the local civic association, and I've interacted with Dr. Butera as a result of the civic association. So I want to echo some of the comments that were just made and say a couple of things and voice a few concerns. I think the leave of absence that he's on was a good idea because it helped calm things. But the leave of absence can't be turned into a sort of indefinite purgatory for an employee. So I'm concerned about a couple of things. I'm sure Dr. Apossi will do a great job, but he has a job to do something else. We have a superintendent of schools, and he's getting paid, and he's not working. So I think just the district should get the regular player, not a pitch hitter. And I'm sure that you're doing a great job. I have nothing against against any of the people who serve. Secondly, I think it's important, fiscal responsibility is important. Dr. Butera, as I understand, let you tell me I'm wrong, but as far as I understand, he's on paid leave. So we are paying for someone and we're not getting that expert person's assistance, and we should get it. The taxpayers are entitled to that. And the third concern I have is about due process. Elemental notions of fair play indicate that public employees should generally be entitled to know the nature of the complaint about his or work and be able to respond to that complaint and explain. And I know you did that. You did a great job. You referred to a outside counsel who took evidence and heard witnesses and gave you a report. And the report came in November. And thereafter, something was done. The board was apparently decided it was going to review the policies, the sexual harassment policies. And the nature of any discipline which was imposed was not disclosed because generally employee discipline is a private, confidential thing, which is a good thing that it's private and confidential. So what's uncertain to most of us outside is whether or not there was discipline imposed. And their discipline covers a wide range of things. It can be formal or informal. It can go from just a counseling session to a memo to the file, to formal admonishment, to suspension or dismissal.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Can I just have a minute or two more? I got a couple of things. I spent some time on this, and I really like to get.
I would like to allow other people, because everyone else has had the same 3 minutes to speak, and everyone else was operated under the multiple points. We appreciate time.
I was speaking about the different opportunities, the varieties of potential discipline. No matter the form, the fairness to both the complainant and the employee requires a reasonable prompt decision and closure, an end to complaints and discipline. So if there, and because it's confidential, whether you imposed discipline or didn't, is something that you know and we don't know. If there was discipline, then that should be at an end. My recollection is that if people are dissatisfied with employee discipline imposed by a board of education, the remedy is an appeal or review by the Commission of Education, and not a do-over. It's not like stickball or anything. You gotta have a chance. If you didn't make a determination and didn't impose discipline, then elemental fairness requires that there be a prompt decision one way or the other. And I encourage that. So The only thing that most of us in the public know is what was in the letter of complaint. Most of those objections were pretty subjective, but there was one requirement of the district's sexual harassment policy, which said you can't have any frontal hugs. And this admitted apparently hug. Now, my wife, our house is right next to this secondary district, so we see the employees going in and out. The two employees greeted one another today, and they hadn't seen one another for a long time, and they hugged. So it's just human. People do this. We have an informal, frequently people, relationships between people are very informal. Perhaps the administrators of the district should adhere to a strict policy of formality and distance, but nobody wants to be perceived as cold and uncaring. And Dr. Butera, if anything in my experience with him, and it's been very limited, has been caring, a great listener. I echo everything that people have said. He seems to be concerned about people. He's very responsive. He brings in other members of the staff to deal with problems. I think he was a very interesting guy. So this is a sexual harassment policy. We have other examples of firings for sexual harassment. This Dr. Butera is not Harvey Weinstein or Roger Ailes, who demanded sexual favors in return for an employee's advancement. He's not Bill Clinton, who took advantage of a young intern in his office. He's not our former governor, Andrew Cuomo, whose familiarity with female employees included kisses on the lips, touching their backsides, and his hand inside their blouse. So if whatever happened, it sure seems to be a relatively minor thing. And it's not to be approved or passed over, but it's something that should be taken into account with all his other services. And my opinion is, from what I know of him, you'll know more, you have the inside information. My impression is he does not deserve to be discharged. And I think he should be brought back to his work as our superintendent. Thank you. And one other thing I do want to say. One of the concerns is, how is the public going to react? So, because I'm a lawyer, I get to quote this. I rarely get to quote the Latin maxim. So the Latin maxim is fiat justitia ruat coelum, which means let justice be done though the heavens fall. Now, I don't think the heavens are going to fall, whatever you do with Dr. Butera. But whatever you do as a judge of the conduct of others, you should follow the maxim that Spike Lee had, do the right thing. And I think the right thing here is to let Dr. Butera resume his duties. Thank you.
Thank you.